beep. I ain't even lying, guys. I ain't even lying. In today's age, there's multiple ways to promote a song. Make a TikTok and hope it goes viral, or you grab your big balls and drop them on the production desk. You show people how it's done. So do me a favor and check this out.
This is Luca from Meduza, and this is the lead sound from our record, Upside Down.
Jesus fuck.
And this is how it sounds.
So what the fuck? I'm gonna try my best to break it down for you guys, but we first have to react to the studio. Man is running Genelec monitors, a Lumi keyboard, another keyboard, I think a UAD interface, machine pads. Man's trying to be Fred again. Fredusa has a ring to it. And for some reason, Luca has a bulletproof vest from UKG. Ooh, the man piss off. So here's the Walmart version of the Meduza lead. So a couple of things caught my attention with the programming of that lead. First thing is the execution of a mono layer in oscillator A, a layer that is going directly through, penetrating how it should. And then there's a second lead layer added at 7 unison, 7 saws, detuned, bring in the width, while still having that strong penetration down the center. The other thing I found interesting was the execution of the velocity modulation. Now, velocity modulation is supposed to go in correlation with the way you hit the keys. If you're an alpha producer, then you are probably hitting your keys like, which means you're gonna have a high velocity modulation up here with the green. If you're a beta producer, you're gonna be more down here. Now, inside of Ableton, the way you can program this, if you're not the type to guide it, then you can lower this down. And this is how you set your velocities. You go from 0 or 1 all the way up to 127. The lower you go, the less of the modulation is applied. So if I'm low here, you can see the blue line. I'm only going to go up to around here. But if I go higher up, if you're one of Anima's groupies following him along in a van through his little tour, then this is super useful for you too, because that's how he does a lot of his modulations with the filter. The other thing I found really interesting with that video was the execution of reverb and delay early on in the signal flow. Literally went through almost, I want to say, 2 forms of saturation, 1 form of redux or Bitcrusher, and then clipping. And this is all done with the reverb and delay at the beginning of the chain, which I found very interesting. Breaking the rules for say, because usually you want to put that last, you want to put that on the return. And the other thing that caught my attention was the usage of an OTT. And the OTT is also in front of the reverb. Now, OTT is over the top compression, which is a combination of upwards expansion, downwards compression, upwards compression. AKA, it's very squashed, like a chopstick. At the end of the chain, they have an MG-Low 24 filter. Now, as a sound designer that does presets, I utilize this filter as well at the end of a chain to bring warmth to the sound, because the MG-Low 24 is gonna round out the highs, can add a last bit of drive. Now from there, there's really not a lot else going on. Now from there, there's not a lot going on other than the fact that they don't really show us the envelopes they have, but you need to have these envelopes set up so that you feel the punch from the lead. Because if you don't have your sustain down, you're not gonna get that nice, what I like to call Swedish sound, not Italian. Tom Starr did it first.
It's got wet and dry on it on trash, and so I've got an automation going from the wet, obviously when it kicks in.
The Swedish guys with the size label, Axtone Recordings. Also, Tom Starr made a whole video a long time ago on how he started with a saw and processed the crap out of it. Similar to what we are seeing here with Luca and the Meduza lead. Okay, now this is normal EQ. The only thing here that maybe some people might not know now is the usage of dynamic EQ, which is an EQ and compressor got together and had a baby. And this reducement is going to correlate with the dynamics of the sound. As the threshold is hit, you allow the reducement to go down, and the harder it penetrates and goes up, the more down it goes. And then you decide the range with this guy here by going down. From there, we go into a saturation stage where Luca uses Saturn. Now, I couldn't copy this fully because, again, I don't know if he has 2 Saturns or 1. Saturn is going to be a saturation and distortion plugin that Saturn's going to do. But here's the next thing. We see the usage of a Redux. Now, I don't have the one he uses, so I'm going to use Decimort 2 from D16. And that's what gives that nice grainy top end. I'm not going to lie, his is a lot better than mine. But the Redux lowers down the quality of the sound to provide this... And it adds a lot to the sound, again, similar to the Tom Starr formula. Now, finally, after that, we use another EQ. Now, a question I get asked a lot as an educator is, why do DJs have so many EQs? Especially back then when they were breaking down their tracks, a lot of people were like overwhelmed with the amount of EQs they did. And the reason for this is that we have something called signal flow, and that is that order of effects. The way you place the effects matter because, again, if I put this EQ here, Saturn is going to distort whatever comes out of this. However, if I turn it off, Saturn's not going to distort this version of the lead. It's going to distort the version that's coming out of Serum. So as we go down the chain, for example, the reasoning for this final EQ that they do here is that when you distort, saturate heavily, and you use effects like this, they can bring back some wanted frequency, some wanted harmonics, but it also comes with the negatives, the unwanted harmonics, unwanted frequencies. Finally, from there, the last thing that he does is that he clips the lead. Now, if you are a modern producer and you're mixing your own tracks, you need to be clipping, bro. Like, there's no question about it. Clipping is one of the most clutch things, and I think it's kind of gatekept. Push your sounds. Push them. If you learn anything from the Meduza reel, is to push hard. Like you're constipated. Want that demon to come out. From there, they also made another one earlier on in the year, which is the bass from Supermode.
Hi everyone, this is Luca from Meduza, and this is the bass sound from our remix of Supermode. Tell me why.
Okay, so he's using a saw. Okay, oh, okay, and there we go. So this is very interesting. Idea of having distortion and then you have this filter, which you're going to use to shape the sound, is super clutch, and it's something I discovered a few years ago. Main thing is that we can distort our original saws heavy. We'll use this as an example. And then we shape the sound. Because again, signal flow, the order of things matter. If I do this first and then I distort heavy versus this, there's a huge difference. But again, that's something super important to understand if you're making your own patches, and if you start getting into more advanced sound design, as you start getting into drum and bass, dubstep, it's dope. More EQ, show the EQ, some compression, some delay, 1/8, ping pong, he likes that, a flanger. And then he doesn't show us the fucking settings. Come on, bruh. EQ. More saturation. I think he's going to saturate a lot. Compression. Compression. The reason that he probably used multiple compressors is to do serial compressing. Technique where you apply multiple compressors in a series, each one with a different setting and purpose. Sometimes compressors will influence the color of the sound. Pushing them hard saturates. Sometimes you want to compress heavy, but you want to kind of have it slowly added versus added instantly. Take the lead out on a date first before you compress it. More saturation, this time with the tape mellowify. Reverb automation for the swells and the clip, man.
And this is how it sounds.
Sounds fat though. The thing that I got the most out of these, so the thing I got most out of these two reels was that I am saturating and compressing like a PC. I need to go harder, get the sound I want, be the man I meant to be. Camera decided to say, nah, F this fool, man. Get him out of here, get him out of here. If you guys saw any other cool things, make sure to leave it down in the comments. But with that being said, if you want to support my sound design work, you can find it over at evilsounds.com. My sounds are used by some of the best producers out there like Mau P. Now, if you guys want to further your knowledge forward and you believe that Fisher makes his own music, which I do, then make sure to check out this video here. Break down some of the cool things he does in his track, but it's such a dope track that I love. Check it out and much love.